So everything can be broken down to physics. So the Trinity really stands for the atom, and the subatomic particles of the atom are the Trinity: electrons, protons, and neutrons. We have neutrinos, we have positrons, and we have quarks, which I gotta look up and see if a quark is part of an electron. I don't know that, so I'm gonna look that up. So anyways, and so explaining physics through word chemistry is through politics and religion. And then science is just the extension of politics and religion. Okay. But everything can be explained and broken down to the subatomic particle. Okay. And so right now we have a lot of people that don't understand physics. They understand biology, but biology is made up of physics. Biology is just the life forms that are fused together that create little mini explosions and life as well as death. And so fission is the breaking up of particles, and that's like death, that's chaos. Fusion is the Big Bang. It is nucleogenesis and nucleosynthesis. Okay, and so that is the order of operations. The original Big Bang, we don't even know, but we know that subsequent to the initial Big Bang, whatever that was, then there are little Big Bangs. And so when things like a neutron bomb doesn't produce a lot of explosion, but more the radiation, and the neutron bomb is what then disperses life. And so panspermia is when you get like the asteroids that hit the different 7 layers of the atmosphere. Okay, and that's like the outer space, exosphere, ionosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, troposphere. Okay, and so then the panspermia brings in the life and then disperses it all over Earth, and this is where life begins. And of course it needs to be supported by the balance of elements that support life. And so I get it now. And so then mankind, really Adam, which we've talked about before a while back. I remember when Kevin, when he was on my Facebook page, he was talking about Adam, A-D-A-M, and maybe John Oakes too, and then A-T-O-M, and they're the same thing. That's the beginning of mankind. And so the Bible is almost explaining physics in an allegorical form and giving names to the mechanisms of the start of life, the beginning. And we can look at the Bible as like Genesis, like the same thing as when you have conception, when you have 2 heterogeneous particles or humans that get together and create this sexual tension, and then the conception is the explosion of life, and that happens at the micro level. And some women know when conception happens because they feel something different. Like I feel within my uterus the last couple of days, I felt energy in my uterus. I don't know exactly what it was, but not like, I'm pregnant or anything. But with this virus is definitely upgrading my uterus, upgrading all my muscles. I mean, I feel I feel everything. I mean, I feel stuff. Not that it's like could be associated with any diagnosable condition, but I am now plugged into the matrix, which is to my atmosphere. I'm not resisting it. And so now when I go back to my book, because I've been studying all this physics stuff and really making these connections, I can now explain the Trinity in the allegorical form, which is like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or proton, neutron, electron, okay, and make those connections. And what would be the neutron? The neutron would be like the Father. The Son and the Holy Ghost, well, actually, the Son, let me start to think. The Son is the Holy Ghost and the Father, because, Holy Ghost, no. There's the Father, which is God, and the Son is Son and the Holy Ghost are the same thing. And so it's the proton and the neutron hanging out together. And they're the ones that are fused. They make the nucleus. And so the electron is like the God. And so when you think about like what's going on with our government and with the two binary driven arguments of Democrat, Republican, pro versus anti, the government is the neutron particle that is now splitting the atom, because the atom is the binary driven arguments that support each other, because you can't have one without the other. And so they seek to annihilate each other, but they're still in a cohesive type of relationship. That's like, me and my husband. He's a male, I'm a female. He has specific needs, so do I. Sometimes we clash, but we cannot function without each other, because we're in a partnership of sorts. But then an outside force that says, okay, I want to split you up, then could create, if we weren't strong enough for that outside force, we would be split up. And so that whatever that outside force could be, a neutron particle that would then go and split the atom. And so that's what's going on with our government. They're trying to split atoms. That's what all these are. That's what everything you see on the mainstream media. Fox and CNN, InfoWars, all that stuff. They're just splitting atoms, but on a social, societal level. And then what you're seeing now is the decline of the economy. You're seeing the decline of the family. You're seeing the decline of all what we knew, because they're doing a reset. And so then maybe you've seen some of my posts about Tartaria and them going back into history and looking at what other resets were like, where they're using child labor. There was the giants of the past, okay? And that was a normal back then. And then we have now a new normal that we're going to have to adapt to. And so right now we're in the middle of the atom splitting. We're in the middle of a neutron bomb, a societal neutron bomb or atomic bomb. And so that's why I've been posting about, the difference between a neutron bomb, atomic bomb, hydrogen bomb. It's all the same stuff. It's using plutonium and uranium and creating isotopes. And then, sometimes they will destroy, but also create life. So then there is that conception and the devolution and death, or entropy or whatever, happening simultaneously. So now we are kind of destroying the old way. Okay, the old way was like heterogeneous. Now we're kind of going towards a homogeneous, which is like, communism, okay, which we know that the right-wing party are not really a party to, or they want to deal with. And so we're going from a heterogeneous society to homogeneous society. And so then I'm watching like Netflix, like Riverdale, and they're definitely bringing in the homogeneous, thought process. You're seeing the integration of diversity all under one amalgamation, amorphous type of ball of energy, and people are resisting it, or people are adapting to it. And so since people are people, it really doesn't matter as long as they're not hurting anybody else. As long as they follow the local laws of our society, I don't really care what people do. So as long as they follow the local laws of our society and they don't hurt somebody else. Okay? And so now we're seeing a homogenization of our society. And we're also seeing then the decline of the Republicans, the decline of the right-wing mentality, and that also is impacting religion and also, politics, because, the same thing, when you have an icons and people that you revere, and the people are dying, they're declining, they're supernovaing. We now need to bring in a new type of thought process. And we might not have any more icons. We might have just a set of people that are looking to evolve a society with a new thought process, taking away certain pronouns. People are dressing up like each other, the opposite of whatever. That's fine. It's actually really quite interesting once you get outside of the fact that it's different. When something is different, people resist because it's not what they're used to seeing. And I'm the same way too. If I'm not used to a certain way, it's hard to accept something new until you start breaking everything down to a subatomic level and realize that the other person is no different than you. And so that's the whole point of the JJ mentality, is to realize that we're all the same. We're not that different. And that nobody is more special than the other. And even when I didn't know I was actually promoting that, that was where the root level of the whole JJ mentality was, to level the playing field and realize that we're all working from the same deck, but we're missing stuff because we're not fusing the food to our DNA. So we're missing our capacity to take in new information called evolution. And so that was the huge resistance in the beginning. And so then you look at that, and then you look at salt. Salt neutralizes the war. Salt neutralizes the fast replication more than a person can handle, and allows a person to slow down the process without destroying themselves. Now, if you stay too much in a cured state, you'll destroy yourself, because the outside world is very dynamic. So you have to balance yourself out between your evolution and your growth and your development, and then the energy out there, the amount of evolution, the amount of data, the amount of viruses. And viruses are transducers. They have their own atomic energy that will impact your atomic energy. Okay, and so that's why you see then people are trying to resist the atomic energy, but they're still creating atomic energy in their body, because the body still has to produce antibodies to then guard or protect against the new incoming evolution, the new data. And so no matter what, you're going to deal with little explosions in your body based upon the body producing proteins, whether it's to build you up or to tear you down, or to put you in a cured state where you don't feel any evolution. But then the outside world is still going to work against you, so you're not really escaping the inevitable. But on bodies that are that much at a deficit, too much of that agonist energy will destroy them, but too much antagonist energy will destroy them as well. So then, then this is where you have to realize that you have to stay home. If you don't have what it takes to deal with both the agonist energy and the antagonist energy of antibodies being produced, then you must stay your ass at home. Those that are on the JJ mentality and eating a lot of food, understand pain, they can gamble, because they understand molecularly what's going on, and they have to keep feeding the energy. And then also understand that our society does not want symptomatic people, so they got to be in a certain amount of cured state in between points. You can be evolving at your destination, but you better be done evolving when you're going from point B to point A, after you're going from point A to point B. Okay? And so that must be factored in to how then you manage the JJ mentality, and then also enjoying life at the same time, and being considerate of the people around you. And that means that you're not dropping mucus RPGs when you're in another microbiome. Now, if you're working, you got to do what you got to do. But I mean, there's no way 100% to not drop mucus RPGs, but our system doesn't want you dropping mucus RPGs that then cause you to have a fever, because that means you have infection. Now, I can drop mucus RPGs after eating. It's not a big deal. Like, I just had a bacon and cheese sandwich. Okay? And so, but I'm not like in any fever. I'm not in any diagnosable condition. I'm doing fine. I'm just my regular maintenance that I do every day. But when somebody is out there and they're not on the JJ mentality, and they're not used to evolving, they're going to be dropping some major highly volatile mucus RPGs, of which the government is trying to stop. And so you have to understand the mentality of where the government's coming from. You have to understand the mentality of the people around you and what state that they're in. And then you also have to look at yourself. So that's, again, the Trinity. That's the understanding that yourself, another person, and the government. The government is the neutral force, because even though you think they're playing one side or the other, no, they're playing both sides. That's why every 4 to 8 years, we go from Democrat to Republican to Democrat, and it switches, and then we have this fight, or this pseudo fight of like, oh God. And when you realize that they're both the same, that's when we knew that they're both the same party. They're just catering to both sides of the binary driven arguments, so people think they have a voice. We already knew this, but there had to be a way to explain it in a physiological, in a physics level, in a subatomic level. And then words are translating science and numbers so that way people can understand in a theoretical sense, in a story sense, because in everything that is learned has to be told through a story. Because people are not interested in just straight facts and figures. I mean, when you're just putting down numbers and nouns, but no adjectives and no other types of supporting modifiers, then it's just like, okay, it's just facts and figures. It's like reading a compendium. Ooh, I could use that word, compendium, which is just pictures and graphs and facts and figures. That's like a textbook that just explains in different ways a concept, but then you must apply these concepts to your daily life and to then people's belief systems so you understand them. I better use that word. I better hope I use that word, compendium. Look that up. compendium. Compendium. Or EM. I was looking at my word things and I was doing some of that yesterday. So anyways, so I knew there had to be a way to explain the Trinity where it wasn't just coming from the religious aspect, but there was definitely a scientific subatomic level aspect that I needed to bring in. So that way I will fuse politics, religion, and science together to then explain, mortality and immortality, fission and fusion, agonist antibody and antagonist antibody. And then there is the whole neutralizing force like salt that will then fuse them together and you can handle and be in some kind of equilibrium so you can take in new information. Because I'm telling you, when you're always evolving, it sucks because it's like, oh, you're feeling tired, you're feeling sniffly, you're feeling headachy. So evolving sucks when you're on a continuous basis. You have to really you must appreciate the points of equilibrium in between each evolution. And that's what's going on with me when I was dealing with the PMS. It was 2 weeks before I was down just evolving and it sucked. I was miserable during that evolution stage. And then 2 weeks after I was just, knocking things left, right, working 12, 13-hour days, cold calling, I told a district manager one time when I wanted to get a quick $2,500 for that 1 month, doing it like in 1 month, and it financed my trip over here. I said, I will get this agent to get like 30 policies plus 2 life policies in like 1 month. And I want $2,500 because if that agent went through the program with those policies, he would turn from a reserve agent to then a regular agent or something like that. I almost forget the whole process, but I knew that I could get that the 30 policies for that agent. And so I did. And during those 2 weeks when I wasn't PMSing, I was calling, just slapping, policies left and right and promoting and doing all this stuff, processing them and getting the payment. And the kid got through the program and I just took that $2,500 and I just left and took off to Ohio. And so you can really accomplish a lot in between your periods of evolution, but you must make time to evolve, because during the time of your evolution, that's when the body's recalibrating. So it gives you the next level intelligence. So then you can do your next thing, whatever you're doing, that much more, who knows what. You all have your things that you focus on, because intelligence is what's going to carry you. Physical wise, you will always adapt to the environment, but the intelligence is what is going to take you so freaking far. Understand? That's why yesterday I was so excited doing the words. I love learning new words and learning how to use them, because you want to sound intelligent. You want to write intelligently. You want to be able to express yourself in such a way, like they said, the pen is mightier than the sword. And so our society has gone away from the hand-to-hand combat. And now it's about logic and reasoning and wit versus emotion versus emotion. Because emotions turn into physical, and they turn into either babies or they turn into destruction. Someone's annihilating somebody else. And you see it all around you. I mean, you've been to bars and bar fights, and you watch, stuff on TV where it's all soft core shit. Okay, so you kind of get it at the very basic level, but now it's time to increase the intelligence. Okay, it's not about dying and reproducing. mankind needs to evolve, and they need to evolve, well, spiritually, yes, but they need to evolve intellectually. And when you don't bring in new words into your environment, when you don't rise above the two binary driven arguments, when you don't allow your brain to work more than you trying to work your body all the time, you're going to end up being like a zombie where it's just purely instinct. And that's the base level of Maslow's ladder, is the basic of eating, feeding, sleeping, sexing, all that. But there isn't the next level. And do you need to have, see, the whole Maslow's are also incorporating family and friends and social acceptance. My husband's like, Jillian, you used to go out all the time and you used to always want to. Now you don't really want to anymore. I'm like, no, because now I've been down the road of being part of groups and doing this stuff and playing, the families and whatever. Now it's about cultivating the mind. There are so many things that I want to achieve when it comes to expressing myself, when it comes to understanding concepts, that now I don't need to have all the family and friends, okay? Because they are a distraction. What I want to do is I want to surpass my own limits. And the only way you can do that is when you actually start exercising your mind, and you're not always out there trying to exercise your body or exercise your distractions. If you're doing labor stuff, that's part of your job, great, but you're also working your mind, and you're taking care of business, and you're making time for your brain as well. So those are in labor intensive jobs should be able to balance both those out. I don't do a lot of physical labor. Everything right now is going towards my brain. Okay, my body, I have 11 different systems: the muscular system, the digestive system, the neurological system, the cardiovascular system, the integumentary system, the urinary tract system, the reproductive system. Of all these systems, do I need to exercise all these systems all the time? Or I allow the food supply to build up my muscles? I allow the food supply to sustain my brain, so when I'm firing on all synapses, when I'm thinking about new concepts or new words, I'm keeping that stuff. I'm flexing, but I'm not overdoing it. I sleep, okay? I walk up and down the stairs. I take my dog out. No, I don't go running or anything. I don't need to go put miles on myself. I see people run and they're all worried about their running in their body, and their brain is depleting, or they are not. They're not exercising their their cells with salt, and so they're taking on excess fat, and that's also going to take away from their brain matter. And so there is a correlation between stomach size and brain size, okay? So there's a balance. And so this is the whole point of the JJ mentality, is now we're morphing and adapting to the new world. And so this is the fun part. All right, I'm going to go, but have a good day. Bye.